What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is going to be your G Status ATL Hustle Reunion Part 1 review. Now, okay. I'm just going to, look, I'm going to go down my notes, and then wherever the conversation goes, it's just going to go, because it's so much to say. So much to say. First of all, I've said this before, and I will continue to say it because I mean it. I'm sincere in it. I respect what Ja and his partner are doing. I respect the platform that they're trying to bring to people. I think there's another show that's going to be coming in January dealing with the fashion with the other producer who was really instrumental during Fashion Week. And I'm going to watch it, and I'll see if it's something that I want to review. You know what I mean? I look forward to season 2. I'm interested to see how we're going to improve on season 1. Here's my issue, my critiques, right? First of all, there has to be some, I'm an educator. And if I teach a class, and I think I did the damn thing, I was in front of my students, and I was hooting and hollering, and I was giving it to them, and I walked out of that classroom, and I patted myself on the back, and I was like, oh, you did that. And I go to give my kids a test the next day, and half the class fails. That ain't them. That's me. That's not them. Now, 1 or 2, 3, people have a problem with it. Okay. But if half the class fails an exam, that means that I did not execute something. And there has to be some self-reflection. So with that, I'm going to say to the producers, if you have a show, and at the end of that journey, half of the people who were a part of that journey choose not to participate, there has to be some self-reflection. I'm not saying y'all did anything wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there has to be some self-reflection. What can you do differently? Where did we make a left turn? Why did 1, 2, 3, 4, why were 4 people missing? Now, I don't know if Adrian was supposed to be there or not, because I know he wasn't even a main character. I don't know if he was supposed to be at the reunion or not, but he was not there. His name came up, and he was not there. Milan, Zafar, Trufine. These are all people who were a major part of this production and were not there for various reasons. So there has to be some self-reflecting from the part of the creators. That's my opinion. You can take it or leave it. Now, because those people were missing, it allowed other storylines to be fully explored. So let me just go down my notes, okay? All right. So from the very beginning, Corday was with that shit. Even from the beginning where they were introducing people and bringing people out, and they called Corday's name, and he didn't show up, and they had to call his name again. See, from the very beginning, you was with that shit. You was with the shits. Then Corday sits his ass on the stage, and they bring a table. They push the table over to him so he can put his feet up on that table. Let me tell you something, Corday. You are a spoiled ass brat. You are rude, and you are a spoiled ass brat. And I'm not even talking about as it pertains to the situation between you and Sherrod and how the whole reunion went. I'm just talking about your behavior. The way you came in there and the way you acted, you was on that shit from beginning, from word day one. Now, we had our hosts, Trinity and Caleb. I'm not as familiar with Caleb, but Caleb was some beautiful eye candy. I could look at him all day. I do know Trinity from her days on RuPaul's Drag Race. I had not followed her as closely, but I am very familiar with who she is, and I have seen her from time to time, and I do follow her on social media. And so, see, I put it in my notes. I think it's in my notes 3 times about Corday and that damn table. It was just so rude. It was so rude. And people even the host asked him about it and asked him to take his feet down, and even told him he was rude. That's just what I do. Well, I don't think they asked him, but they just asked him why he did it. That's just what I do. Anyway, technically, if you're going to mic the host, mic everybody. Because we could hear the host loud and clear, but then when Sherrod was talking, we heard Hakeem because he loud. But when Corday was talking or Sherrod was talking, people who talk a little softer, you couldn't hear them that well. And I don't know if everybody was mic'd or not mic'd, or I don't know if they had the mic in a place that wasn't accessible, whatever. The sound was a little bit off. Now, that's the last technical, because for the rest of it, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful set. It looked nice. It looked nice. The crowd was full. Everybody looked, it was beautiful. That's my only critique on technical stuff. I don't have that big of a technical eye, so I ain't going to keep talking about that, but just the sound for me. Now, we start off, I don't even know where we start off. I'm just going to go down my notes. Hakeem and his footage. They did like a montage of Hakeem's confessionals, which we know are just a string of nonsensical shit, but it's Hakeem, and it was hilarious. It was just hilarious. Hakeem was funny as hell. His whole persona was funny. He was who he was. He stood in his shit. He was like, look, I might have said some stuff in the confessional. I was trying to give y'all a good show. Like, this is what we here for. That's why we here to make a show. So that's what I was doing. Which is pretty much what he said in his interviews with the Royal Couch and Ty Couture. He said, look, I'm here to make a show. See, I put in my notes. Corday walks off. He's such a brat. I wrote that in my notes. That's what I put in my notes. I believe it was Sherrod and Corday sort of got into it. Sherrod, I'm not gonna let you off the hook either. And I love you, Sherrod. I do. But you were doing too much. You were over the top. You were waiting for a fight. It was too much. It was too much. And you standing up and walking over to Corday, like, that was too much. Like, you were wrong. As much of an asshole as Corday was being, you were wrong. Every time you stood up and stood over him and walked over to him, you were wrong. Because then you became the aggressor. It's the same situation you did with the whole Dre Simba situation. You became the aggressor. And that's wrong. Corday was being an asshole. Yes, we know that. He was there to do that. That was his purpose for showing up. However, you were giving him all of that. They talked about the little faux pas at the beginning when you and Tramel tried to act like y'all knew each other, but y'all really didn't know each other. But then y'all do sort of work together because you model for the same model company, whatever. They talked about the contract that you signed that you found out was for Gazy. It happens. You signed with a modeling agency. You thought it was going. You knew going in that they didn't have a large pedigree, but you were like, hey, they might be able to help me out. I can help them out. Let's see where it goes. It didn't work out. Shit happens, and move on. They talked about you going to Fashion Week, and that's where Corday. I don't know if that's when he first started acting up, but that's where he started talking about something. You only were at Fashion Week because of the producers. The producers hooked that up. It was only because of the producers. So the fuck what? I don't care how somebody gets on that stage, they were on it. And Sherrod was able to book other shows once he got there, and he's supposed to be going back this February again, and he booked another job somehow. So again, yes, the producers may have given him the foot in, but he got his foot in that door and he pushed the door down and he walked through it. So Corday, once again, why? You and Sherrod don't like each other. It's established and it's cool, but everything don't have to be shaded. And Sherrod, I'm going to say the same thing on your part too. Everything don't have to be shaded. You were talking about how his EP was a flop or whatever. But once again, it takes a lot of effort to put an EP out. It takes a lot of know-how, talent, whatever, to bring the things together that needs to be put together to put an EP out. So as much as Corday gets on my nerves, I can't shade the fact that he has produced, I think, two EPs. That's not easy. And, he's also still maintaining that, he's a personal shopper. That's how he makes his money. And that's what he does for a living, which I believe it. I believe that that's what he does. His degree is in fashion merchandising. At the earlier in the season, when I was sort of giving Corday some props, I was talking about how he knew his shit when it came to fashion. And how I could definitely tell he had a background in fashion. So, again, I can get credit where credit is due, even when you're getting on my nerves. That comment I'm going to come back to, because I'm going to end with this comment that I just wrote. All right, I wrote Corday versus Sherrod. I think I just addressed that. Akeem and his drinking problem. Now, Akeem said that he doesn't think he has a drinking problem, but that sometimes he gets home and he don't know how he got home. That he drinks, he gets home, which means that you're driving drunk, and you're blacked out. So you don't know what you did, you don't know how you got home. Akeem, you have a drinking problem. You said that you have to have a drink in order to be around crowds. That sounds like you have an anxiety. and you are self-medicating. I'm nobody's doctor, so certainly go see a therapist or go see a doctor to talk to them about this. But from what you're saying, in order for you say you have to have a drink in order to feel comfortable in large settings. And it sounds like you don't just have a drink to calm your nerves, you drink in excess. That is a drinking problem. Now, I'm not going to call you no full-fledged alcoholic, but that is someone with a drinking problem. You have to self-medicate. You have to drink in order to get through a situation. And it's dangerous because you admit it on stage. And you already got some legal issues. You might not have wanted to admit that, but that you drive drunk and that you don't even know how you get home, that you just end up in bed the next day. That's a problem. And Hakeem, I love you. I have grown to really like you. I said love, but I've grown to really like you, and I want you to take care of that, because the last thing I want to hear is about you getting yourself in the middle of a situation. I really that's sincerity. Like, that's no bullshit. That's real sincerity right there. Again, my next note says feet up on table. Charlie, I love you, boo, but Charlie was complaining because nobody was really asking him any questions. Now, I get that. Hakeem and Sherrod really control a whole lot of this first part of the reunion. However, that's how reunions go. They focus on certain storylines, and when they start with the bigger storylines, and I have to give Sherrod, Corday, and Hakeem credit for really monopolizing the stage, because Tramel and Charlie, because it's really not a part of their personality. They are not rah-rah personalities. They didn't really get into all the rah-rah, right? Tramel and Sherrod sort of got into it a little bit. And not to get too much into stuff that wasn't seen, because I try not to speak on things that weren't seen, but looking at Takatoa's vlog, shout out to Takatoa TV, Tramel said that his beef with Sherrod had a lot to do with the fact that Sherrod was saying stuff about him in interviews, that he was, really trying to be cool with Sherrod, but then some other stuff. So, and I think there's more to that in part 2, so we'll wait till part 2 with that. But then, the host, Caleb, had to kind of be like, well, Charlie, we're going to get to you. Aren't you performing at the end? Okay, well, you're going to get your shine. And then they did sort of ask Charlie a few questions. They asked him about the karaoke night, and if they thought that if he thought Corday was being shady. They asked Charlie, because I think they're going to address Charlie's listening party on part 2. So I think a lot of Charlie's storyline is going to come in on part 2, to be honest with you. But something else. Oh, the host asked him about an event he wasn't even at. So the host, y'all did a really good job. I could tell that y'all had watched the episodes. You referenced some things very specific, but in that particular moment, y'all kind of fell off a little bit, because they asked him about Corday's event. Charlie wasn't at that event. Charlie had his own event. Remember, Corday invited Charlie. Charlie didn't come. Charlie ended up having his own event, but I don't think Charlie was going to come anyway, but we'll never know. They talked about Corday's event and how he was saying that it was sold out, and he explained what he meant by that. He said that they were all responsible for selling a certain number of tickets, because it wasn't just him. It was him and I think 3 other featured artists, and they were all responsible for selling 20 tickets. He sold all 20 of his tickets, so in his mind, the event was sold out because he met his responsibility. And he said that he was impressed with himself because he didn't really know a lot of people in Atlanta. He's not really he don't really go out a lot. He doesn't really, his friends are in Charlotte. That's where his base is. So for him to sell the 20 tickets in Atlanta, he was impressed with himself and happy with himself that he had done it. So he explained that, and I get that, because I don't know if everybody's done it. I've done it in the past, where you throw a party with somebody and you say, okay, it's this amount of tickets that need to be sold, so I'll sell this amount, you sell that amount, and if everybody does their part, we good. I'm in an organization. We do it all the time when we have events, and each person in the organization is responsible for selling a certain number of tickets. If everybody sells their tickets, it's a successful event. So, again, I'm not going to shade Corday with that, whatever. Now, the host did ask Corday to sing, and Corday was like, no. And somebody, I can't remember who it was, but somebody made a comment about, well, you're trying to put yourself out there, you should always be ready to sing. You can sing the alphabet. Like, you don't have to sing a song or worry about copyrights if you sing the alphabet, But honey, Corday was like he wasn't singing. Because just like Charlie sang at the end, he didn't sing, he doesn't sing. When Charlie performed at the end, Corday, you could have performed one of your songs off your new EP. I don't know why you didn't. Alright. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about before I get to the piece I want to kind of touch on at the end. The whole situation came up with Corday making the comments about Sherrod and the HIV. And that's where Sherrod really got upset and stood over him again, talking about he could have sued him. He could have signed, he could have presented him with papers and everything for slander and that kind of thing. And they got into it. And that's pretty much where the episode ended at this point. But Trinity actually even wanted to address it because she's HIV positive. And she was like, you could tell she was upset, but still trying to maintain her professionalism and her composure. And for that, I respect that. But she was saying, that's just not something you play with. And Corday was saying, well, I wasn't talking about, it came out wrong. I wasn't saying HIV. I was just talking about the clinic. So you were still saying he was dirty. Like, you might not have wanted to take it to the point of saying he was HIV positive, but you were still saying that he was dirty and he had some diseases and he needed to be checked out. But Corday, once again, he kept getting mad and getting caught up on that, thinking that people were stuck on HIV, which I do think people were stuck on HIV. However, even if you weren't talking about HIV, what you were saying was still wrong. You are accusing this man of having a disease. You are accusing him of having a sexually transmitted disease You're accusing him of having a sexually transmitted disease, whether it be HIV, whether it be gonorrhea, whether it be herpes. It does not matter. You're saying that anybody that sleeps with him need to go to the clinic and get themselves checked out. All of the implications are there, and it's wrong. It's wrong. You are wrong for implying that this man has a disease. Point blank, period. Point blank, period. You were wrong. And all you should have said, because he said, well, I already apologized. No, you didn't apologize You didn't apologize publicly, and that's what you should have done. See, when you give an apology, the same way you disrespected me. If you disrespected me publicly, then you apologize to me publicly. Now, if you disrespected me and me and you was just the two of us and we was laughing and joking and I got upset and I got in my feelings, then that's cool. Then we can just talk about it amongst ourselves. But if you disrespected me publicly, then that's what you owe me. So the first thing you should have said the minute that clip aired, before it went any further, you should have said, I know what everybody's going to say, and I don't have anything other than, I apologize, Sherrod. No matter what our differences are, no matter how I might feel about you or you might feel about me, that was a road too far, and I apologize for that. That was too much, and I was mad, and I was pissed off, and I went too far. That's it. And I guess you know what would have happened? They would have just went on to the next question. Because you take the wind out of the sails when you already address it. That's sort of what Hakeem did with Milan. He said, I apologize to the LGBT community because I'm a member of the LGBTQ community. That wasn't my intention. He said, I wasn't talking about all members of the LGBT community. I wasn't talking about all androgynous people. I wasn't even talking about trans women. I was talking about one person in particular, that person. I wasn't talking about everybody, and it wasn't meant to insult everybody. It was meant to insult her. Now, Akeem still went a little too far, but did you notice how it just took the wind out of everybody's sails a little bit? They kind of went, oh, okay. All right, well, we just want to make sure that you understand. And he said, I get it. I was wrong. I went too far. But I wasn't talking about everybody. I love my community. I was talking about her. Did you see how quickly that went to the next thing? And that's where the episode pretty much ended, because him and Sherrod, it escalated. And like I said, I already said, Sherrod, you was wrong for standing up over Corday like that, because I said it in the situation when you and Dre but if somebody stand up over me, it's going to be a problem. Period. It's going to be a problem. If I'm sitting down and you stand up over me and we're arguing, that's an act of aggression, and it's going to be a problem. Much as I love you, Sherrod, you were wrong. Now, here's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to end it with this. I don't know any of these people personally. Some people I see on social media and so forth and so on. And like I said, I've said it before and I will continue to say it. I respect the producers and I hope that you can take what I'm getting ready to say in the spirit in which it is given, which is a critique and constructive criticism. It was the worst kept secret that Corday was dating Ja. And the cat is all the way out the bag now. Here's what I'm going to say. A decision needs to be made about Corday's role on this show. If he wants to, he may not want to come back. Because, in my opinion, Corday took full advantage of his relationship with the producers in this reunion. He showed his natural black ass. When he walked off stage and he was in the back and they were trying to get him to come back on stage, no, I'm not coming. No, I just need a drink. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone right now. I just need a drink. No, I'm not coming back out there. I told you I wasn't going to do this. Even to the point where there were rumors that Corday threatened to not show up if there were certain people involved as far as being hosting and other situations. Now I say rumor. But even if it's not true, the fact that it's a rumor is based in the fact that people believe that Corday has a relationship with production that the rest of the crew or cast does not have. He has the ear that everybody else does not have. And that creates an unbalanced situation, which created what we saw as far as Corday showing his ass. Nobody else would have been able to do what Corday ass did at that reunion. Nobody else. Nobody else would have been able to do it. Nobody else would have done it. Nobody else would have tried it. Even at the end, where you hear when they're arguing and they're carrying Corday off stage, you hear him saying in the background, "I'm not gonna let him disrespect you. He will not disrespect you." See, again, that's your emotions playing into this situation. If you were not emotionally involved with the producer, then that wouldn't have been an issue. The producer can handle himself. He know what to do. They had security there. If it had gotten too far out of hand, John know how to put somebody the fuck out. You see what I'm saying? It takes away some of the credibility when you see certain things play out and you know that there's some behind the scenes shenanigans going on. Even through the season where Corday had his own damn episode. Really? You see what I'm saying? So, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that everything made show Corday in a positive light, because it didn't. Corday came off in a lot of areas as an asshole. But guess what? You can only show what's being presented to you. If Corday gives you attitude and gives you brattiness and that's what's going to come off on camera, because that's what's there. So that's just my 2 cents. I'll look forward to part 2, because part 2, it was great. It was a good episode. Again, I said my 2 cents on Sherrod, Hakeem, Charlie. I didn't get a whole lot with Tremel, because there really wasn't a whole lot there with Tremel. Although I will say, for me, Tremel was best dressed. I really liked Tremel's outfit. I liked Dre Summers' outfit, but he wasn't on part 1. We'll talk about him in part 2. But I really liked Tremel's outfit. I am just a classic fashion kind of person. I like prints that match. I like clothes that fit. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people go too far out the box, it's cool for them. That's not my aesthetic. I'm a plain Jane. And I'm not saying, okay, that didn't come out right, because I'm not saying, Tremel, you were plain, because I think your outfit was nice, but it was classic, is what I'm saying. It was a classic outfit. I hope that didn't turn a compliment into an insult. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments, please.